What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I ask that you like and subscribe, and thank you for watching Speak and See. Hit that notification button as well so that you can get the updated information about your SBA loans, grants, PPP, stuff like that. I have Robert Dunham with me today. He is the backbone. He is behind the scenes and does a lot of work regarding your loans and grants. So you think people aren't out there working for you? Well, this is one of the hardest workers out there. I want to thank him right now, and big shout out to Jason McElhone. Thank you as well. We're going to get right into this. I ask that you guys watch it till the end if possible. It might sound a little boring at times, but this is all very pertinent information regarding your EIDL loans, grants, and the process that is going on right now with our senators and with our congressmen and things of that nature. So we just want to ask that you like, again, subscribe, and here we go.
Just kind of go from the beginning of the meeting to the end of the meeting as far as what I remember?
Yeah, whatever you think. Whatever you think's, yeah.
Okay. So going over the meeting, it sounded pretty clear that they were coming from a understanding of where the EIDL grant was, what they was intending, but it's becoming expectation of being able to sell something right now that the Republicans are just not buying. They're essentially fighting both the issues of the budget reconciliation and just the idea of being able to pass S513 by itself. It's just not as easy as just calling up Schumer and getting this to the floor. But in short, because of how the situation is, the Republicans want to open up the economy. They want to get over this mask mandate, and they want to put out this notion that the economy does better when the Republicans are letting people do their normal business. So what we're seeing from Rosen's end, however, is that they're seeing it from both the export and the business level, where in order to service all these people who are coming out, like airports, business, restaurants, hotels, etc., people need money to service this upcoming demand. And that's what their argument is currently going for. They want last year's money getting to businesses that need it. They didn't necessarily agree with the whole low-income area provisions. They agreed, they just didn't make sense. But like Senator Cardin and Jacob, who explained it, they both had to come to the consensus of how they can manage to get some money for people, working with the $20 or $30 billion budget of the targeted EIDL. So after negotiations with the Republican side, the tough sell finally came down to the low-income area provisions. And even though they didn't agree with it, that's what they rolled with. I don't think they expected how the rollout was going to turn out. I think there was a lot of trust they put into Isabel and the SBA in order to get this job done. But like Jacob with Senator Cardin, they basically allowed Isabel Guzman to come into her own. Unfortunately, she came in at a time where it was wolves feeding on every corner. Republicans attacking her, business owners coming after her, and the administration putting a bunch of work on her. So she's kind of, I know we have our disagreements with how she's being portrayed with the administration, but she's in a rock and a hard place trying to get things done for small businesses right now. But I think her pride is not allowing her to reveal the full picture to Congress, because both Senator Cardin's side and Rosen's sides aren't fully aware of what's happening with the glitches, the venues, the targeted EIDL. And this is concerning that these are members of the business committee, and we effectively know a little bit more than what they are fully aware of right now. And that's concerning. So what I've taken from both of these is that they need to be able to convince the Republicans to get businesses money in an effective manner while overcoming the same fraud that hasn't been substantiated as of yet, and somehow get them working together to do this. But with the petty views of them going at each other, it's going to be an extremely hard sell for them to get what we want on the floor.
Yeah.
So obviously on Senator Cardin's side, they want to see more money going out. The loans are going so slow. The targeted EIDL is going so slow. And with things going out, they didn't understand that the reason why it's being held back is that the IRS has effectively gummed up the works for most of the business programs. The glitches have only just caused ire for people trying to go through, and while they understand some people are sailing much faster than others, they didn't understand that with all these backups going on, that people are going 2, 3, 4, 5 months. While they want security and protection, fraud, all these other concerns taken care of, you can only do that so much with the processing capability of the SBA while trying to understand that people don't have 4 or 5 months of waiting time to wait for their bills. They're going to close rather than wait for that money that they don't know when it will come. So, as far as Rosen has been concerned, they've tempered the expectations of what they're trying to get people to follow. They've been quiet for 3 months because they didn't want to get people's hopes up. I know it was a big thing up until March, and they were negotiating up to the last day for it. And even to some extent, they're still negotiating for those terms now. They just need people to buy them. But
Like, what people do they need to buy them?
they need the Republicans in order to buy them. So they wouldn't allude to what the administration is currently doing, but they know that Rosen has made the point to them that the 10K EIDL grants without those low income area provisions are important.
Right.
So
Right. Now they're looking at, you said something about maybe a $30 billion bill that they were looking to do, or
so no. What
can
I
you?
was meaning was that when they were discussing that in December,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it was that awkward phase where, for some reason, after all this fighting of summer and fall, they were quiet. They were talking with each other, and so for some magic reason, they were getting stuff done. I
Yeah.
mean, even McConnell and Schumer were putting things aside, things they didn't agree with. They were just tossing it out,
That could
just
have
like
been the
that.
other administrator. That other administrator was rocking, man. The temporary one.
Oh, Tammy, I
Yeah.
mean, to let the glitches and other things go without an appeal kind of says a lot, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
I didn't think she did any better than Carranza did, and in
I
some
thought she
cases
was.
worse.
I thought things were getting. Actually, people were seeing more money when Carranza left.
Mm.
No, maybe.
I mean, if that's how you view it, that's just from my perspective.
Yeah.
If anything, I viewed money going out as much slower under Tammy and Isabel than, say, Carranza last year,
Oh,
but
totally from Isabel.
circumstances have changed, of course.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
in either case,
Now, what about
I,
the like? Did they sound at all like they would like take the bill separately, or did they would maybe it be easier? It'd be an easier sell to, of course, put it into this huge $1 trillion package that they got. That would be the easier
they,
sell.
they would have to negotiate hard in order to get that implemented.
Yeah, and
Like the
quickly.
American Rescue Plan, they had a top dollar, and basically for everything that was put in, they would have had to argue against another senator or rep who was trying to put in their own programs, their own money agendas, and that was going to be a hard fought battle when. I guess when you're trying to wean businesses off of aid, because the American Rescue Plan was very paltry in the amount of actual business aid that put in. I
Yeah,
mean, you were only talking like hundreds of millions for the EIDL, some odd billion for the PPP, and you know how fast those run out. And the EIDL is just still running through about 260 billion some odd dollars of leverage to loan out. And it's not an easy matter to just take money out of the EIDL because it's literally just a leveraged account.
oh for sure.
For every dollar they take out, it's technically $12 of leverage that the SBA could be using to loan out.
Right.
So
Yeah, I get it.
they have to somehow sell it for the upcoming package. And the only way to do that is to convince the Republican side that it is in the best interest of their constituents and businesses overall that the EIDL grant gets passed without those low income area provisions. It's not just providing them the data that money isn't going out as much. I mean, New York and California are being taken care of as far as with the targeted ILO gone, and Texas and Florida, but everyone else, it's just poultry. And they made the argument that it's just because of how the urban demographics are set up, but obviously a lot of other people are benefiting more for being where they are compared to states that are a little bit more spread out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when I brought up the whole 1,295 applications process as of 6/3
And that's in
for
Nevada.
Nevada. So
Yeah.
it didn't phase them as much, but they also had to look at it from a demographic standpoint.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it's nice to hear. I guess it's just cool that they sounded like they know more than Cardin did.
they were more advocates for the EIDL program. What they were not as much aware of were the technical and small problems that people were going through,
R-
much like Cardin's office apparently was not aware of.
Right.
We have a problem where Congress is disconnected from the SBA right now.
Oh, totally.
If the SBA is not getting back to the Republican side as they're complaining, the Democrats are just kind of letting Isabel run her course because she's just gotten in. But because she doesn't want to reveal everything in order to make everything seem better from her end, you know, the sugarcoating that's been going
Oh,
on.
you can totally see it.
But I guess the pride is kind of getting in the way of the fact that if they just alleviated some core concerns on the documentation requirements, they could potentially get the processing time down to 30 days, which would be probably ideal for most considering the circumstances.
Right.
And I just let them know that if they wanted to start with anything, if they couldn't get those low income area provisions fixed, I would look at the IRS as the main core problem of everything right now, besides the contractor quality. I had to remind them that they got guys working 10 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and these guys are coming out of college.
Yeah.
They're having a very hard time getting loan processors, especially if the site's not working, as some have said.
I know that sounds like a great excuse for them, but I'm sick of that. I mean,
Hmm.
they got to be. Come on, Carranza didn't throw that excuse out there. They threw the money out. That's
It's a mix of things. Congress threw a bunch of programs on them without really telling them. I
yeah.
mean, probably briefly, but they didn't prepare banks. God, just the idle increase requests. The fact that they're not on the loan data sheets, I actually put that in. If they could communicate with the SBA to start putting that on the records to show them, because recently we're estimating only 95% are still waiting on contract requests. We understand that money is going out, but not as fast as it could be.
Money's
We
going
know
out.
that.
Barely, barely.
Oh yeah, barely.
I mean, it's like
Especially
they
when
want to
they've
hold
already
on to
waited
this. They're
so
just,
long after the 6 months of working capital that they were so stringent to follow. And then to hear from Isabel Guzman today say it's going to take 2 more months in order for the 2 million to roll out. It's it's like, come on, guys. So we have the head not talking to the body, and the body overworked because the head thinks it's doing a good job.
right,
And we got the Republicans and the Democrats who were scared of fraud, and the Republicans who wants everything to be hunky dory and not realizing that businesses need the money and capital to transition to this healthy phase that they want to so adamantly put out.
right.
So I don't know how this is going to be an easy win, because even the lawyers I've been speaking to say that it was going to be hard work in order to convince that the IRS low income definitions are going to be something that they can overturn.
Right. But the IRC 45 codes that they put into the 331 Act, remember? Or the 331 section, the IRC 45, it's totally, you cannot take the IRC, the 45 there, and if you read over that, it's 2 pages of that kind of, I mean, you read it over, you cannot color code that because they're so individually, each paragraph deals with an individual circumstance,
Hmm.
meaning low income, meeting low
That,
income requirement. That's what we were hoping to go with before they put the map out. Now the map screwed us with the
and that
IRC.
was my understanding too. I mean, we've, at least as far as I thought they were going to go in a priority based system where they had low income areas first and then they would work out. And they kind of did that, but they kept those low income area provisions, and it caused those massive rejections that we're seeing now.
Yeah, but you can see the IRC 45, and if you take a sentence there, it says this low income. If you make a certain amount a year, this considered low income. Or
But you need the lawyers to be fighting that right now.
right, but that doesn't fit into the demographics, the geographics of the map. You
Hmm.
you cannot color code this person fitting that sentence, that paragraph in IRC 45 and put it in an area. You would have to take that and put it into their circumstance, their financials. You know what I mean? It would be a financial
I
area.
agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I will agree with you to doomsday on this. They should have gone totally different with how we interpreted it.
Right.
But
The map screwed
fundamentally, they're
them.
running in a different game. And the lawyers, I think they're looking for an easy win. And that it's
That's what they're looking for, is an
so
easy
unless you
win.
have money to put into this, it's
And
going to be a hard sell for a lot of lawyers,
here's the
I
hard
think.
sell. It was the same sell that we had with the 4227, that we were trying to sell the intent of the CARES Act. The intent of the CARES Act was that everybody got the $10,000. The intent of this 331, if you look into IRC 45D code, or was it E, I forget, but if you look at that, the intent of that is for it to go into low income community, but the low income meant person, not specifically area. You know what I mean? It meant the
Mhm.
person. And I think the original intent of that 331 was not the map.
Well, they had to find a way to get contractors to realize who was in the low income area or not. It was either they had to type in this map or they had to somehow communicate it to the contractors that this address would qualify, so on and so forth. I think they tried to dumb it down to the contractors enough that
And
you
in,
could potentially draw a conclusion if you saw purple or yellow, but I think for some of us, we weren't clear if this had all of the data in consideration.
yeah, it doesn't have all the data.
I'm sure if you poked and prodded that there probably would be glaring errors. It's convincing a lawyer to take that on and prod those errors to get the policies that we've seen.
I
Now,
don't even
what?
want to prod that myself. I've read it. It's confusing. It will confuse the person who wrote it. You know, the 45, the IRC code. It would confuse the person who wrote it. You can read it and get mixed signals with it, so you can kind of make your own map up with it. And I think that's what they did.
So what they could do from at least a lawyer perspective is they could try to reach out to see the justification for the low income area policies. Now, from Senator Cardin's office, that was interesting because they based it on the idea that there was 40%, 46% of underserved businesses were thought to be in a low income area. Now, whether or not you agree with that, I mean, that's beyond our pay grade right now, but that was what they were essentially working with to justify the targeted item.
They're justifying taking 56% of the people out of the mix then,
Yeah.
or
So,
54%. You know, it's like then we're only going to do 46% of the people when it wasn't intended for the CARES Act wasn't intended for
I
56%.
mean, CARES Act was intended for a broader area, but they it was poorly planned because they waited a year to serve the underserved businesses, and it took another 4 months to actually roll out to most everybody. And you've seen the rejections, the glitches, the inability to appeal for quite a while,
Yeah.
and people just giving up. That would show you how you take 10 million emails, whittle it down to 3.5 million, and then from that 3.5 million, whittling it down to only 140,000 processed.
Yeah.
Now, what most people won't see is the slow processing, the glaring glitches, the contractor training. What they'll see is a number serving underserved businesses and the supposed help that the Democrat Party is doing right now to get those people money. But when in reality, they could have been helping millions of businesses by now by passing bills like S513, which would solve most of the major problems at the SBA without having to do this ridiculous over the top overhaul. Just
Yeah.
ease the documentation requirements at the IRS, take people on the record, fast track them, and you'll see, God, a quintuple, probably 10 times, 20 times.
Oh, for
They
sure.
could just send the money out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Rosen's team was trying to get at. I mean, they went full out. They had three people on here, and I mean, they were very courteous. I mean, they talked and talks, and I had to literally butt in from time to time so that way I felt like I had an opportunity to talk.
Right.
But essentially, they were people that were preaching to the choir. They understand how bullcrap this is.
Right.
They get it.
Yeah.
They they just don't want to sell something and get people's hopes over something and just make the situation worse when we already know the situation's already dire.
Oh, for sure.
We've
It's
been following this
totally.
for a year and businesses are desperate for aid.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And when
yeah.
things get desperate, things get out of hand. Things get a little bit, a little heated, and things are getting heated
Cause
right now.
instability everywhere.
Things are getting heated right now with the stability in that and in the government and the I think small businesses, from what I'm getting, they're not taking it. They don't want to. They A protest is what we want to do. That's what we're thinking here. And I would love to have talked to him and told him that because even Williams, Texas, The Texas congressman said, "Hey, I'm getting more input from the lobbyists than I am from the SBA." And it's the truth.
That's everywhere.
We are the ones giving information to the people right now. The SBA ain't doing crap. They're not. And for them to I don't know. I'm just getting
The
it's to
body's
that.
not talking to the head, and the head is unaware of what's going on.
Yeah, it's wrong. I mean, dude, we're getting screwed.
I mean, we've been screwed for a year. We've just learned to take it dry.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And you see, they're trying to put all these new programs up, and I'm looking on Twitter and these places where I'm getting emails that they're trying to do all these new programs with the SBA when they can't handle what they're giving us right now.
It just baffles me. They have limited work personnel. They're tired. They're overstressed, and most of the big programs that the Democrats are putting out are running horrid right now.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
you
need
saw Patrick Terpstra's quick 2-minute article just on the venues.
another
There's a guy
business.
named Steven Tyler who runs Oklahoma Tower Theater.
Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, I
I've
know
been
him.
talking with him briefly on, and he was capped at 150,000 when he was originally supposed to have been offered 1.6 million.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's still waiting for that funding.
Is he still
The idle
waiting? I thought he just
increase
got that like
request.
last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he just get his
He's still
money?
waiting for venues, and that's millions. His only economic stimulus that he's gotten is the fact that his state has opened up and
Right.
people are starting to pour into entertainment again.
Yeah.
He's literally gone through the pandemic on fumes, and
Yeah.
now he's getting relief, and it's not the SBA.
No, I know. And
It's
that's the thing
atrocious.
is we're seeing all this lollygagging and all this showboating about the congressmen and the senators running around like, well, look what we've done. Like, look at
They've done
Schumer.
shit.
Look
They're
at
scared about
Schumer.
fraud.
It's a green screen theater that they're putting on an act towards us, and we can't buy it because the small businesses aren't buying it. Maybe the public is buying it, which is what they want, but we're not buying it because we're not getting our money. Nobody's getting their money. Barely.
and
Some people are
and
getting it.
you're and you're seeing the Republicans right now. They're wasting more time trying to catch Isabel in legal traps and the damn restaurant fund
Yeah.
to do the normal stuff. And then you see the rest of the reps. They're like, I think there's too much fraud for the millionth time. And
This
it's like, do these guys realize what they are saying, what they are doing?
I'm so
They're
sick and
not
tired.
doing work.
I'm
They're
so sick and
repeating.
tired of
They're
this fraud
parrots.
thing. This fraud thing is getting old. We got to watch out for fraud. We got to watch. In watching out for fraud, America's small businesses are going down. You need to understand you're going to get hit with a little bit of fraud here and there. There's people out there's bad out there. You're not going to get everybody, but to stop one fraud and then which eliminates 1,000 businesses, you got to take the hit, man. You got to take the fraud. You know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not acceptable.
It's far beyond acceptable. The
It's
fact
not.
that they've been content with allowing this to go on as long as it has
Yeah.
just just shows how much lack of interest they have in this affair.
Right.
The fact that they don't want to do anything, even though they say they are doing something.
Yeah. And I don't know what they want. Do they want this put? I think what we're looking for. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me on it. You can take your opinion on this one. I'd like to hear it. I think they want to put more money into an idle program in the big bill that they're trying to force on us. Another, I don't know, $6 trillion. That's $6 trillion. Now, if you throw the idle program in there, then people will be like, yeah, you got my support. Yeah, we're going to get our idle grants.
If they can make the argument with the Republicans that that can happen, but at this point, it's almost looking like they're going through budget reconciliation in order to get these next series of bills passed.
Right.
From what I've seen from the Biden administration, they whittled down the total of 6 trillion. I mean, we're even getting talks of stimulus checks coming back. I mean,
Right.
if that tells you anything. So I think the different committees are coming together to talk about interests, and they're starting to come back. Senator Cardin was mulling over the idea of getting more restaurant funding. And I think there's a bunch of reps that would like to see more funding.
Oh, for
I
sure.
think Bordeaux would probably like to see either more idle funding in certain categories, but I think most politicians right now would probably want to see more PPP, either funding to get people who had applied, potentially retro. I don't know why they stopped on that point,
Right.
but with Isabel essentially shutting it down, I think that complicates that issue. So I think it's going to come down to maybe poultry funding for the idol. I don't think there's going to be a big amount if they even get anything at all.
Right.
I think they're probably going to maybe throw in another 10, 20 billion to the restaurant, even though they probably need somewhere around 100 billion. I don't think they have the coffers for that.
Right. You see, that's
They
the problem.
somehow need,
If they want to throw in a $7 trillion bill, they need to put the 150 billion in that the restaurants are going to need for all the
but
restaurants.
they've got different agendas in other
It's
people's pockets to fill. So I don't think business is like high priority for it right now. I don't see it in the business committees right now.
which is where the idle loans and grants get screwed because 50%, roughly 50% of all America are home-based businesses. 50%, half the businesses in America are home-based small businesses. Half of them. Now,
Well, that'd be interesting. I didn't know that statistic, but I figured there was a bunch of small businesses under the $100,000
it's roughly
threshold.
the new statistic they just came out with roughly 50% of all small
Is that
businesses.
representing 2020 or just in the past, like 5 years or
2021.
so?
Right now.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah, that was just done, like, I believe in January 2021. So, but roughly 50% of all
Makes
small
sense.
are home based. So with a mapping tool doing this, you know, whatever it's doing, this algorithm to who gets it and who doesn't, it's totally off because when you take a yellow zone, you take a whole county out. You're literally
Exactly.
taking counties out. Now
Like
you're
most of
telling me
Nevada, for example.
it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. And if we're gonna put another billion or say 50 billion into the idle, we need to put another 50 billion just into the idle grant program to get everybody
Yeah,
their grants.
that would be the minimum.
That would be the minimum for that. If you're going to give the home-based businesses too, but right now they're just trying to hit the brick and mortars in low-income communities. Dude, they're going to be powerful for the next 20 years doing this.
I say Rosen had the smart idea to try to whittle it down to the 15 billion because it'd be a lot easier to sell. What she could try harder to do is still sell it on the idea that it's 10 employees or less, the 30% decline,
Yeah.
just because it would benefit most state businesses. I'm surprised Cornyn's not speaking up more because they could benefit a lot more for their business industry. I know Florida and Nevada are hurting more.
Yeah.
I know New York is right now probably the biggest beneficiary of the targeted idle events right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
Schumer's
quite
dancing.
certain they would want more money.
Schumer's dancing in his boots, man. He's getting loaded.
Loaded is not the term
They're
I'd use.
they're
A little
getting
half
hooked.
baked
They're
myself,
getting
but
hooked up. They're having brownies galore in that state. They're just enjoying themselves, man.
Why the hell would I take a test?
maybe they should include it as part of the bill. New York gets more pot brownies or something. I don't.
Something. Man,
Maybe
yeah,
they
no,
could sell it better that way.
that's why he can go out. Schumer can go out there and do whatever and just lollygag like he's having all this fun. He's getting loaded. They're loading him up with this money, so he's happy.
I mean, I guess they don't see the problem from their end. Their constituents are getting money, but what about the rest of the states? They're hardly getting money.
Exactly. And you're in Nevada, aren't you?
I'm actually in Washington.
Washington? Okay, right, Washington. So you're not that far away. You guys aren't
Fortunately,
getting that much.
Senator Cantwell is not really useful.
No, you guys are getting screwed up there, though. Small businesses aren't doing that great in Washington.
I know Kilmer's district is mostly low income.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm so glad that I invested in the north end because I just missed the low income zone by a bunch of houses just across the street.
Really?
Yeah, I had a 34% decline. I had the less than 10, but just because I didn't live across the street, I guess I don't need that grant.
You?
Yeah, I guess I'm doing that well. So, God bless America.
That stupid map. That stupid map. That's ridiculous. I don't get it. But anyway, well, I guess it was somewhat fruitful. At least we got the real deal.
So if we have problems, we can send them to Rosen or Cardin's teams now. So I've got phone numbers of the people that we can make that happen. Alejandro is just as concerned as we are in some cases. So he would like to see more done. Dan Gruber among the team also, frankly, wants to see things done. And just to let you guys know, they are seeing your stuff on Twitter.
Okay.
The Senate Small Business Committee, they're scanning the Facebook groups. I've just let them know in on the idle Reddit pages now.
Oh, great.
So they should be
good.
hopefully a little bit more aware. I can't guarantee anything, but if you guys are venting and you don't want to just take it out to Senator Cardin, feel free to post there. They're probably going to start looking at it a bit more. But if you guys want a tip to reach more business advocates for different reps, different teams, I don't know how lately, but I've been on a roll just by asking for the business advocates for the team. So the reps will just pass it on to the next person. Um, I spoke with a representative advocate out of Louisiana, uh, the one actually in the small business committee not too long ago who talked about idle forgiveness. He had an advocate there that actually has idle loans himself and would definitely love to see the idle forgiveness aspect to it. He talked my ear off for about an hour and a half. Even told me about I mean, it's kind of a bittersweet joke, but um, the reason why I remember it is it's very short, but it's very to the point. Um, so a worker, so you got a worker and his boss man. Boss man drives up in his Lamborghini, and the employee is essentially looking at the Lamborghini. He's telling his boss that it looks awesome, and the guy says thank you. And worker just, he's groaning, he's moaning. It's like, sir, one day if I'm working, do you think I'm going to be able to buy a Lamborghini one day? And boss man goes to him, son, if you work long enough, you'll be able to get me to buy two Lamborghinis. So I've kept that to this day, and that's the kind of thing that makes it memorable.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's about the truth too. That's about it.
So I think if we're going to win this battle, if we can't do it by lawyers, if we can't just do it by Twitter parades, which they're still useful, they are noticing that. I
Yeah.
noticed that even Carolyn Bordeaux's upper staffer was like, "Oh Christ, not those guys again." But but they are seeing it. They are being aware. They don't necessarily talk, but it's frankly clear to them that there is a problem.
Yeah.
It's just hard for them to get that problem solved when you've got a bunch of other representatives and congressmen getting in their way.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, the only way I potentially see it is by making it a war of the staff members. The staff members are the key to putting a bug in these guys' ears. And the way you do it is by asking for those business advocates. And when you cannot get those business advocates, you make it a point to ask for those business advocates. It'll take you probably 2-3 calls. I would not bother with email. You could probably follow up with email if you can get it from them, but do that. If you have to, schedule meeting requests with your senators in your district or representatives. If more constituents are starting to do this right now, it will get to the right staff members, not just the ones that are just handling the direction, like the call box.
Right.
You need to reach the right staff members in order to make your point heard, and you need to have a even level temper, even though you don't want to. If you can do that, you will increase your odds of reaching these representatives and actually making these meetings. It took me months to get a hold of Rosen's upper staff.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had to just keep at it with straight facts and just banging at that door for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys don't think you're being heard, you're being heard. It's just that the wrong people are not talking with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have to make those calls. You're gonna have to take 5 minutes out of your day to make that happen.
Yeah.
Until then, things aren't going to change
Oh, yeah,
without your
absolutely.
help.
Absolutely. And that's the issue here is like, calls, emails. Dude, last year we went on I'm talking on All Out Blitzkrieg with calls and emails for 4227. I was doing live every freaking night for a month. We were going live doing that for a month, and then every other video was giving them the numbers and getting these things to
We had McConnell
S4227.
back then.
And then they come back with, then they get voted in like they needed to be. Like that's what they told us they needed. They told us they need to be voted in, and we'll take care of it. We got Ossoff and Warnock voted in. It's 50-50 now. I got 50% of the Senate. That should have been enough with the president. Come on. I mean, now it's like when we're sending the emails, then we started sending emails. It's like they're not hearing us as much as they were last year because they don't have to. So now we're sending emails, which maybe, like you said, I can delete an email. I get an email, I read it and delete it. And a lot of these emails that we're sending are getting deleted. Or we can, tweet something. They can skip by or kick you off your Twitter page. They don't have to even look at you. And that's to the point to some of us are not even being looked at because we're frustrated. And that's okay. But they're going
Like
to
I've
have
gone
to.
through with Kilmer's office the other day. I
Right.
sent in a couple of inquiries by phone call. They sent me how well they did with PPP when I asked for idle. When I asked again, they sent me an FDA representative of the team, an FDA representative for the EIDL. So I had to make a fuss the third time in order for them to say, okay, I think we screwed up. Well, let's
Yeah.
placate this guy. Let's talk with him. So that was what I was able to do in order to get a representative to actually sit down and talk with me.
Right.
And
Right.
through the consistency, we've been able to get the people that we want to reach, more or less. I mean, better than what we did before. If you have the right buzzwords and you keep at it, you will get the staff members that are actually listening and who are the ones who are actually making the changes and putting the bugs in the senator's ears.
Yeah. I called Rubio's office again.
Oh, did you?
Last
Did he
week,
actually work this time?
I talked to the staff member twice. He's really nice guy. He really
Okay.
is. I talked to him twice about the EIDL grant and how we need to get S513, blah, blah, blah. The same spiel we use everywhere, right?
Mhm.
About an hour later on Twitter, Rubio posts, look what we did with PPP. Look at all the money and all the businesses we've saved with PPP. Right, direct. I mean, it's like they have this thing like, okay, speaking on idle here. Let's just show the world.
We
Let's
ain't got no PPP
boom.
anymore, Rubio.
They're throwing out this thing to let people show what they've done and not what they're not doing. But they're showing out what you here. Look what we did last year. Who cares what you did last year, dude? This is what have you done for me lately kind of business. I mean, even the guy in the video, Interpreter's video, the guy was saying, it's hard to believe that I'm mad at somebody who gave me, the restaurant owner said, it's hard to believe that I'm really upset with people who've already loaned me $150,000 and I'm still mad at them. That's the way he feels with the SBA. And that's the way they're spinning this narrative, like they're still doing something. Rubio ain't doing crap. Rubio is basically frontlining this thing saying, look what we've done for small businesses. Rubio sucks. And we all know that. I mean, come on. So I'm talking to a staff member, and the staff member's probably going to watch this and say, oh gosh, what, but they're up to these things, trying to show the people that they're giving us all this great, they're affording us this ability to stay on our feet, but they're not, So
It's not like we're asking for necessarily more money right now. It's already been appropriated. All we're asking for them is to unlock the floodgates so that way they can accurately report the demand that Carranza had to be sued in order to get that information out last year.
I wish Guzman would do that.
I wish, but
I'm gonna do it. Push the button. Sue me.
For information.
Huh?
Even they are being demanded for information. They're still not being as transparent as they should be, and that's concerning.
If they use that word transparency one more time, when they are anything but, when they are anything, they think just.
Oh, sorry, we're not.
We're being
at all. I mean, SBA has a role of not, deciding one side or the other. We have to be completely neutral.
Yeah, and they keep saying we're being transparent, but they can say that a million times. It was like there's no transparency here, but they keep saying they keep using the word. I don't like it.
I don't think they know what that word means, sir.
Transparent. We're being invisible. I think they think it means invisible. We're being, what's the word?
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. We're being anything but. In the back of their mind, they got anything but transparent. But man, it's getting rowdy out there, man.
We needed to get rowdier, unfortunately. I know a lot of people are tired. They want to give up. I know it sounds like this is a hopeless mess, but you got to look at it from a business perspective of your head underwater. Do you drown or do you fight?
Yeah.
Or you can go on with your business and make it stronger. Whatever benefits you, but we're still going to still try to keep making these calls. We're going to still try to make diplomatic communications with as many people as possible. It's going to take dozens of calls probably to get through to the Republican side if we even get to that point, but we just have to convince these guys that what they're doing is stupid.
Right.
And we got to convince them in a productive manner.
Yeah. We got to convince them to feel the pain, to feel what we're feeling, Because they don't. They're looking at it like another book on their page, another signature they will either do or not do.
Like, I understand they want to wean off aid. I know they can't do that forever, but most of them don't run a business. They
Right.
don't understand the whole need for business funding to get the grease going for the upcoming demand that should be here.
Right.
Everyone got staggered funding, and people are still waiting for money that's 2 months out already. I
Yeah.
mean, there's probably going to be people waiting 3, 4 months.
For sure. Yeah.
We probably just say, I want to give up because
Yeah.
there's no point.
Well, that's what they're hoping for. That's what we can
I'm
see.
hoping not.
That's
But
what the Senate
the
and
way they're doing it.
That's the way they're doing it, and they're hoping. Okay, they're not going to. They've been consistent too long. We're going to die. We're going to. We give up. We've just tried too long. That's not going to happen.
I mean, that's an easy way to cut out an obligation of 100 to 130 billion dollars worth of grants.
Yeah.
I can see it from that perspective. They
Yeah.
won't admit to it, but
It'll set the SBA. The SBA's set for life. I mean, for a long time right now with 200 billion, going at the pace they're going, they can build more buildings and get, as powerful as they want to get. But I mean, they
and
need
at the end of the day, people will still clap for them on the political side because they were working so hard when they don't see the underside story of people going through a gauntlet of sorts to get access to capital right now. When Congress was the one that shut them down,
Yep.
Congress was the one that buried them in policies that essentially backtracked and forced the IRS to take amendments that people were trying to take advantage of to get better formulas. And I feel like an ungrateful butt at times because they sent a lot of money, but knowing the experiences of many other business owners that have not gotten money, I feel like I have to call a duck, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Just help the people that have not been helped.
I don't think they understand the need for that money. Still, they don't get it. They don't get it.
And I think we're going to have a hard time convincing the Republicans. So I'm hoping that there's a way to argue it on the Democratic side to win a favor that they've lost with how the SBA has handled this mess since 2020. And they can blame the Republicans, but if they can do things by budget reconciliation and negotiations to put it into these bills, it's all on their hands now.
I can blame I blame the Republicans. I blame the Democrats. I blame them all. There's not a single one that has stepped up, not one single politician at all that has stepped up and said, okay, we're getting this through. I'm passing it through and made their pitch to get this in there. I'm done with the politicians of them. I think they all suck. They all suck.
They all suck because they're serving themselves. Service is serve us, not you.
They don't get that.
I wish Rubio would know that one too, but
yeah, Rubio has no clue. Rubio's serving himself too. We all know that.
Although Cardin apparently still has a hatred for Rubio.
Who?
What was interesting was we almost got into kind of a defensive start when I was talking with the small business committee member, Jacob.
Yeah.
Kind of an underling for Cardin, so to speak, just to put it into perspective. But essentially, how do I put it? Because he was the leader at the time and Cardin was trying to do as much, he felt perturbed because the Republicans got in his way to do things. So when you started actually slamming Rubio or actually praising the policies of Cardin, he opened it up like he was your next best friend.
Who, Cardin?
No, Cardin's underling.
Oh, okay.
So, which is interesting. Once you know more about them and you kind of put that to them, they kind of ease up a bit. I don't know, man.
I'm tired of it, man. I'm so tired of it. I think the people are sick of it too.
I mean, what was even more concerning was that the people I was, at least from Cardin's side, they were worried that I was actually recording. The long story short,
if I would have been there, we would have been recording.
Well,
they could have been worried about that because we would have been recording.
But when I started my morning, I was just doing stuff on my computer, just day-to-day. Well, I mean, if you're going to call a duck, you might as well have a recording of the duck.
Right.
But
I wouldn't.
What was interesting was he just called me out of the blue because I had left a message actually the previous week, and he called me back and we talked for about an hour, and then we hung up, said our byes, and he called me up again. He said, "Oh crap, did you record any of that?" I hope not, because I'm just like, dude, I didn't have the convenience, and I'm not about to just make your life a miserable hell just because mine is.
Right.
But
Right.
I had to put it bluntly. I wish I didn't have to explain to people that they have to go through the same representatives that are ignoring them in order to solve this issue when you, Mr. Cardin, could potentially solve this by solving the IRS documentation issues and just growing a backbone and getting S513 on the floor. We're not asking for $100 billion in grant funding. Start off with 15 to 20 billion that Rosen is trying to put out there and get us back to business so that way we don't have to yell at your damn ass.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's like they've taken this personal.
It's like we're turning this into full-time jobs when we just want to run our businesses.
That's it. Dude, if I was them, I would be like, give them their freaking money and get
Just
this thing
shut 'em
over
up.
with.
Give 'em their
Exactly.
money.
That's what I'm looking to try. That's what we're trying to do now. We're at that point where, dude, do you want us to keep throwing bombs at you? Or do you want to shut us up and give us our freaking money? That's it. You give us our money. We got to understand that that politicians need to compromise. Cardin needs compromise. These people need compromise. If there's no compromise, if you don't have any ammunition on your side to compromise with, no leverage, they're not going to listen to you. They wouldn't listen to you. So our little emails and our pitches on Twitter aren't being the compromise that we need. We need stronger compromise. We need more ammunition to compromise against them, because if they would just give us our freaking money, this would be done. I would do that just to get them off my back, and maybe not. I mean, especially with this next election coming up. With the next election coming up, dude, I will throw bombs at the administration who's sitting behind the desk right now. That's Cardin and these guys right now. I'm going to go all out to get these guys out of office. Whoever's in office right now, I want them out. Any of them. Republicans in Florida, Democrats in Maryland, you name it. I want them out because they're not doing us any favors. We want to put I want a whole new legislative branch, or not legislative.
We've got a Rolodex of reporters now too.
A whole new Senate. We want them all. So get rid of these screwballs that are in there, not doing crap. Put some new people in, and let's see if they'll do it. Yeah, I guess we could write our own lawsuit, our own class action. We could start one.
We could. I mean, if the lawyers think this is too much work, at this point, we might as well do it ourselves, because they're not getting the point yet.
All right, you want to do it?
I mean, if that's what you want to do.
Let's do it.
Okay. We'll have to talk about it a little bit more, but
yeah,
we'll just have to start drawing up paperwork and seeing what we can do.
I'm game. I mean, we need to do something more than what we're doing, because right now, I mean,
it's just an attention grabber at this point. We need to put out a protest. It's like kind of like how the Episcopalians talked to the Catholic Church and decided to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Put a big letter on the door and said, bye.
Yeah, exactly. Got to go. We've got support out there. We've got a lot of support for this. People are wanting two things. They're wanting the class action. The people on my channel are wanting class action, and they're wanting to protest. Those are the two things that they think we're needing. We need class action, first of all. And that's what I tried doing as far as the American First Legal got with me, the other day, last Friday. And they sent me saying, fill this application out. We know you're not a restaurant, but fill it out because you may fit in there. A lot of things going on with that. So I gave that to everybody else to fill out, and they're filling it out saying we need our own class action lawsuit, which they're right, we do.
I would be sending hundreds of people to them in order to kind of get the light bulbs going that there is something of an issue here.
Totally.
It's kind of to the point where we kind of need to form our own media documents to kind of give an information package of why we think this is wrong, and to convince more lawyers in order to look at it from another perspective.
Yeah.
Even if it's just us filing the lawsuit, the whole point is that we're trying to make enough noise that we can broadcast it and maybe get the attention of other reporters or other ones that have to ask the question, why is the Democrat bill that we want and are fighting so hard for, why is it so hard to pass on the Democratic side? Especially if they have the ability to essentially overstep the Republicans via budget reconciliation. What is so hard to appropriate a small amount of money? I know billions are so small, of course, but
nowadays they are.
Packages up to 6 trillion, 15 to 20 billion is just a small item note in comparison to what we already have funding in there that we can leverage.
If we get anything out of this today, I think we need to get it out of it that, look, we've taken the course courses that we've been trying to be nice for the last 2 years or a year and a half, whatever it's been. And we've used all other options are exhausted. I'm exhausted with the options of emails and calling reps and even talking to them like you were doing today. Aren't you? It's getting exhausting. You're working way too freaking hard.
I'm unfortunately, it feels like I'm ignoring my kids just to handle some of these calls.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. It's exhausting. And I think right now what we need to do is say, look, it's gone too far. We need a class action lawsuit, and we will take to the streets on this because we've gone far enough that we can see you don't care. They don't care enough, or they just don't get it. They don't get it, that how serious this is. It's not just the signing of a paper right now. This is more, it's getting to be more of, you lied to the American people about what you did, and now we have to go through hell to get tax money into the hands of business owners across the world. And you're not even putting that in there. You're putting your own agenda of, I don't know what you're putting in $6 trillion. I don't care. But you're not even putting this in there. You know what I mean?
It's like, thanks for shutting us down and shackling us with a bunch of debt.
Yeah. They closed
Thanks.
it. Yeah. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And telling us that it's our job now to claw or get back to where we were.
You're telling us to do your job.
Exactly.
You expect it.
Yeah. And there's something wrong with it. There's got an ugly feeling. It's got a dirty feeling, and I don't like it. And the people out there, the business owners that are living through this nightmare for a lot of us, there's got to be more to do that we can do on our end without just saying, you know what, Congress, Senate, screw you. Get out of my freaking way. Get out of my way. We're going to handle this on our own. We're going to tackle this, and we're going to make you do this. We're not asking you to please do this anymore. We are going to make you do this because it's our money. We put you in there for a reason, and you're not filing. You're spinning this crazy reason to the public that's not even real. You're giving them what they want to see, but you're not taking care of the small. It's our money. And they're telling us what they want to do with it instead of us telling them what they need to be doing with it. And they're lying to us about what they were going to do with it. So yeah, class action and a protest, what the heck? We can push them out of the side, say, okay, we're done. We tried.
I say we get every avenue that we can do. Protest, lawsuit, and people still calling.
Oh, sure.
Going for using those buzzwords that I was talking about.
Absolutely. Oh, no, that's good. That's great information you just gave us. That's exactly what we need to do. We need to get info.
So don't deal with the normal reps. Ask them specifically for the business advocates of the team. You will get a response more often than not.
Yeah. Like
I'm
a pastor. Okay. I'm a pastor. I'm a minister. I have a home church here on the weekends. So I have 50, 60 people at my house every weekend. And now I know medicine is good. Okay. I lay hands on people, lay on the sick and they'll recover. It says that in the Bible. So that we do that. We spiritually, we attack the sicknesses spiritually. Lay hands on the sick and they'll recover. But you know, the doctor also said, take this medicine and you'll recover. Okay. So we're going to do that too. We're going to attack it in the spiritual side. We're going to attack it in the health, the natural side. We're going to get it from all corners. We're not going to leave any stone unturned to make sure that this thing's, if you're sick, to get it out. And that's the way I feel with the Congress and the Senate right now with this bill. I'm going to attack you from the left. I'm going to attack you from the right. I'm going to go up here, phone calls, emails, protests, this and that. We're going to hit it. We've got to hit our spot sooner or later. You know what I mean? So
we got to break the illusion that they're creating right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
not everything is rainbows and butterflies.
No, it's not. It's getting ridiculous. And it's people's lives. Like I said, you've been working on this for a long freaking time just to get the meeting today.
People don't understand that took months and me almost berating this guy.
That's what I mean. People don't understand that this is a short video. They see this little 10-minute video and they think Robert Dunham, oh wow, cool, he got a meeting with Rosen's office. He was talking to Cardin. Snap. Well, he didn't just call him up and say, hey, we need to talk. You spent time, a lot of freaking time and effort getting these meetings to get to what? An answer that isn't really going to suffice the American people. They're not going to buy it. But that's the answer that we needed. You got to the bottom of the barrel, literally. And now what we need to do is take this to the next step and say, hey, there's going to be fruit from this. We're going to get fruit from the meeting that he's got that told us we weren't going to get anything, or we have to take it this way and that way. But we're gonna make sure that this produces. You know what I mean?
And at the very least, we can improve the conditions of people that are going through the crap that they are right now.
Exactly.
I went with the idea of trying to get S513 talked about more. I also came in with the idea of improving the conditions of what people are going through.
Right.
That's why I told them specifically that the core of the matter, if you can fix the IRS situation as is, you might be able to get more people processed, so that way of the people that do qualify, at least they can be able to get some money.
Yeah.
And maybe you could look at the loan data so other people can get at least their increased funds.
Sure.
It's not what I want in total, but you know what? Some is better than none at this rate. And we weren't expecting the 24-month increase without us fighting. And
Yeah.
we somehow got that. We got the PPP gross income by fighting and continuing on this, letting them know that we need money. Apparently that made some impression on them that they started putting that out there.
Yeah.
So if we keep fighting, keep leveraging for better conditions, maybe one day we can either get EIDL grants for all or potentially even a partial forgiveness in the EIDL. There are talks, there are people we can get a hold of. So if we can't get the grants, we might as well get the damn thing forgiven.
No, it's getting forgiven. It's getting forgiven. I can already see there's already backing behind that. That's not even going to be nearly as hard as these grants. It's really not. It's
I would love for us to even see if we can get a meeting request with Carolyn Bordeaux. I've been bugging Jason about it because she's technically in his district.
That's what I mean. I've done all I can in Florida. I guess I can help you with Bordeaux too, maybe. But I mean, it seems like Florida.
She's a little bit more open-minded. She will take out-of-state constituent calls.
She will, because Florida, they'll take my. I can deal with Rick Scott and Rubio. I can call their office and they listen to me because I'm in Florida. But I call other states and they usually want to give me
if you come off as the impression of an organization or group, like part of a coalition, you'll find that the advocates will be more likely to speak with you in order to kind of not lose face.
Yeah.
In terms of political census, so they more likely blow you off as a single person. But if you come off as part of a group of people who are protesting the same idea and you follow through with it, they will get the point that this is something that they should probably not take too lightly.
Yeah.
And they may just blow smoke up your butt. They may say they listen, but at least you'll get someone talking to maybe change something.
Yeah.
So until it continues and it changes, I would suggest keeping at it. What you guys are doing is useful. They are listening to you. They are hearing you. They just have to convince everyone else to follow the same idea.
Right.
So we got to hit as many people as we can, especially on the business committee. If they know what we're knowing, and as far as I'm concerned, we know more than they do right now.
I agree. I think we have known more than they have for the last 6 or 7 months.
So we need to wake them up. If that will change everything, if we can just get those guys on board, maybe something will improve. Something will change.
It's got to change. It's got to change.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The grant situation, it has never been an easy situation to resolve.
Right.
I felt like we got more done last year than this year.
We did. That's what pisses me off more than anything. Is that we got it done with a Republican administration who sucked. They
still suck to the most extent.
Well, of course they do. Right now the Democrats, I thought they'd be looking better, and they don't. They look even worse than the Republicans did.
They're trying to look too pretty right now and trying to sell the notion that they've made everything better when at the core line they've got a whole bunch of crises that are about to hit them hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still pumping money into the economy. Do you remember when George Bush, everyone was making this big deal of a $300 stimulus check on their tax refund?
Yes.
Keep this in perspective. We're talking about a fourth stimulus check within a year time frame.
Yeah.
Besides inflationary concerns, how bad does it have to get for the government to say we need 4 big checks in order to keep this economy going? It should scare people at this point that they're doing this. Government doesn't like giving free money. They never do.
But let's get to the core of why they're giving it.
They're trying to prop up something that is bad. They are trying to keep up this illusion that everything is good, but it is not good right now.
It's that, and now I feel like it's also a fact that how can I get my say the 1.2 trillion went 1.5 trillion maybe goes to the stimulus check to the stimulus families again, 1.5 trillion. How can I sell this to them that I need 6 trillion? Well, if I'm going to give them $1,000, they'll say yes and push for it. So they
And
get
that's been the main thing.
they get the people behind it saying, yeah, like, give us more stimulus check. Give us. So then they go in the Senate and they snap the hammer, boom, everybody gets a check, but everybody's going to be paying for the other also that they put in there, $4 trillion that they put through in there for the next 30 years. Or will never be paid off with interest. I mean, come on, really? But I'm just saying it's not a good thing that they want to give you another stimulus check right now.
No,
And they
it's
don't
not.
want to give us $10,000 as a small business that's makes the wheel keep going, keeps turning.
It's just kind of a head scratcher. It's
Where
like, what is your plan if
what?
you don't want to give small businesses money? What are you expecting with a recovery?
Yeah,
Like, what fantasy are you living in that you're going to ignore us and we're going to somehow produce this magical recovery so that way you could beat China or Russia, as they seem to be doing as of late.
yeah, they're trying to do this new infrastructure deal, which I don't know. I
Been
think
underinvested for a long
the
time.
infrastructure should start with small businesses and the businesses that we have now in America. If you're going to give the money to people, give it to what we already have invested. We were jamming 2 years ago.
And they're still running through these programs now that still need it, and they're going through glitches and do not pay lists.
Yeah,
Processors are also switching up their INs and social security numbers. We've got people mixing personal income with business income. So all of a sudden their loan formulas aren't meeting what they should be. We
right.
heard all these promises of 24 months, and people were complaining that they were getting 6, 12, or maybe the 24 months. And
A
then,
lot of people still aren't getting that loan.
yeah, so
I
you're
haven't
seeing a
gotten
lot
it.
more
So
rejections and barriers, then they need to eliminate them. They
yeah,
should not be hampering the process. They should be alleviating it. You're going to do more damage in terms of the recovery costs of businesses having to invest to get to the level that those former businesses were in order to operate. And at the same time, with the businesses closing and areas being more or less stable because of how 2020 was ran, you're going to cause more of a societal demand for services that are not being met by the taxes lost by these businesses closing. So if they can get their heads out of their butts to realize that maybe these small grants and loans could be the stability factor that helps win them 2022,
yeah,
maybe they could just do basic common sense. I'm looking at this from like a symptomatic approach.
sure.
You solve the base problem in order to help the rest up. Now you're going to get buttheads that abuse the system, that think that this PPP or idle is forgivable for whatever darn reason it is. PPP isn't necessarily even being forgiven right now because of the backlogs.
Right.
I mean, and banks want to get the hell out of that mess so that way they can go back to regular lending. But Congress has also created the situation where because banks are tasked to do these things, they aren't lending out as much money as you think, and people are having a harder time getting access to alternative capital.
Yeah.
And they're not even thinking about the circumstances where the SBA is now being the creditor of these loans, and they're going to be the primary dogs on any debt collections. So secondary lenders are going to see them as competitors. They're going to lend less because the collateral that they may be able to collect from the business for folding, it's going to be harder when you have to deal with the SBA and the government. And I know that you can write certain things off for debt interests and other things, but it was already hard enough to get loans before the pandemic. Now imagine after the pandemic.
Yeah, for
And we're
sure.
still in it.
Hmm.
Just myriad of concerns that they're not looking at.
Right.
And they had created a CF of all things.
Yeah. And now that we are in this pandemic, still kind of coming out of the, like you said, we're coming out of the pandemic. I think that's what they're hoping for is that we come out of the pandemic, the EIDL grant goes away. You know, these, because if you
The
notice,
shot clock.
you noticed what they did yesterday. If you, I don't know if you saw the SBA had put up that thing on Twitter where that for the warehouses and the what was it?
The
Warehouses?
classifications.
Huh?
I had to read the classifications of new businesses in terms of the
Yeah,
idle loan
yeah,
and
the
whatnot.
warehouses and stock yards or whatever it was. But if you go down to the bottom of that, it says that this has it's not part of the CARES Act. It's not part of the idle anything that had to do with COVID. No, this is just your base. We're going back to idle loans. We're not going into COVID loans anymore. Basically, it's a new program saying we're out of there. We're done with the pandemic. It's just economic injury disaster like you would have filled out in 2019 before the pandemic. You know what I mean? It's not going off the basis like of COVID anymore. It's not. So that's what they're
I
trying.
just feel like it's more of a traditional loan at this
It
point.
is. It is a traditional loan. They're going back. They're taking the COVID out of it, and they're saying, okay, we're going back to the way it was. So we're out of the pandemic, is what they're saying. So you're not going to see the forgiveness, and you're not going to see the in the new laws that they're putting out, which is concerning to me as a small business owner that went through the pandemic, that's not getting the 24 months now, and that's not getting the idle grant that was part of the COVID loans, the COVID-19 loans and grants. What they're doing now with the new appropriations and new authority rules is they are making it to, they're look the footnotes on the bottom. You can scroll all the way to the bottom of these things. You don't have to read that 10,000 pages of crap that's in there, which means nothing to 99% of us, except those one little sentence. But anyway, if you get to the bottom of it, you'll see the footnotes and look at it. It says this is not your economic injury disaster loan regarding COVID-19, not the American Heroes Act, not the CARES Act, not the whatever act, the other acts that there were. This is just its own idle loan. And that's what concerns me is they're trying to wash the COVID loans and grants to bring it into, okay, we're back to business as normal. So screw the people who lost any money or were told to shut down and lost half their businesses. If you want anything, you have to go get it like you would have back in 2019. Like everything's hunky-dory. And it sucks. It sucks. Because we didn't get what we needed to help us through this, and everybody start from scratch. So we talk about the Great Reset. Everybody's like, the Great Reset, this and that. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm not into the conspiracy theory crap, but that's kind of what it sounds like a little bit.
Well, the one thing about the Great Reset, it puts people in control of a situation that is very complex. It's very complicated. But you're right. When you feel out of control, you want to just be able to blame something. And sometimes that kind of makes sense. I mean, it could very well be. Before you know it, the UN could be probably taking over, and all of a sudden we have our chips in our place if the phones weren't already doing it, and we're all going to have to start working as a collective now, and do your part when we're already fighting over limited resources as is.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just
It's like take out my.
it's like, what do we lose for fighting if we know we're going to fail anyways?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they chop off your legs and tell you to build your own prosthetics. It's like instead of at least helping you out with it. But I mean, I don't know, man. So and I don't know how long they're going to be able to play this fraud card. I mean, with the,
They still haven't given a substantial number yet. Every time they ask,
that's the biggest excuse they have, though. Why aren't things going out the way they should be? Why aren't grants going out like they should have, and why aren't loans? Well, fraud. We're worried about fraud. That's the ticket out. That's their ticket out. And I'm not buying that anymore.
Poor excuse.
I'm not buying it anymore. I mean, there's an excuse for everything. But
I didn't buy that crap in fall when they kept pushing that.
Yes.
I knew there were some problems, but I knew fraud was the easiest way to sell a 1K limit per employee.
Yeah.
And when people were still abusing that system, they were still abusing the agriculture system.
Who was abusing it? I don't know anybody that abused it. So I'm trying to think who abused it. I'm sure maybe other countries.
For example, there was a couple of stories. There was one in Florida. She apparently had like 18 or 20 employees on her maybe just acre residential place. She got millions from the agriculture
Really?
program. And then
wow.
you talked about the Windy City. All of a sudden, they're springing up farms in their apartment complexes.
Oh, no. Well, this is where
I don't want to put any blame on people, but how stupid can you be to ask for that amount of money and to base it on your residential?
And
place?
they got millions. You would think with millions, you'd call somebody up and say, "Okay, can you get a picture or send me some photographs about of your business?" And somebody with the phone could be like, "Hey, check it out. There's my business." How easy? But I'm serious. How simple could the fraud have been, or can still be? I'm going to call me up, loan officer. Call me up and ask me what you want on the phone. I'll text you pictures. I'll get you documents. What do you want?
Unfortunately, there was a system back then where they just said, "Oh, no, it looks fraudulent, but just go ahead. We have too many people to help right now.
Right.
Let the policemen do their job."
Okay. Then you can hire more policemen. So more government jobs. It builds the
Oh,
economy.
they're defunded.
Huh? Oh, they're defunded. That's right. Okay, we'll go fund somebody that doesn't have a job, and we'll build more. There's a way around all of this. I mean,
It's like trying to solve the whole people not getting back to work thing, and it's like going back to work for the minimum wage jobs that you failed to broker in negotiations. Hell no.
no way, man.
We're not saving your ass for a minimum wage.
Exactly.
I think that's what they don't understand.
It's a mess. Anyway, all right. I've been taking up your time here. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. Wow.
Oh, I didn't even realize. I got to get some lunch to some kids. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, it was good seeing you, bro. And
good seeing you as well, Speak.
I'll cut this up and we'll get these parts out that we're just talking about how we're saving the world. Probably not good. I don't know. Maybe I could leave it in. I'll just send it out like it is. Who cares, right?
It depends on what perception you feel. I mean, we could come off as insensitive if all of a sudden we're just saying the Chinese should take over, or if they're looking at us right now.
Well, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that part and say I'm going to come in and I'm going to say no. I disagree with everything you're saying, Robert. What do you mean the Chinese should come in? Then you're going to be like, yeah, we should give it to the Chinese. And I'll be like, I can cut these boxes in two. That's a great idea.
Maybe give it a shot.
Why not?
I mean, I said what I'm said, so I'm gonna do it like we're live, so that we can't take it back. So
no, Robert, no, people.
I will so DMCA you, man. I will get my head.
Right. But if you do want to say goodbye to the people, let's just say, hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining Robert Dunham here, and catch him on Twitter at Dunham Writing, right?
Yeah. Essentially, you'll see me at the front. I'll probably be retweeting what you guys are sending.
Okay. Yep. You catch him on Twitter and his YouTube channel, Dunham Writing. You got to go check out the song. Schumer, Where's My Idol?
Of course. I totally spaced on it. I forgot to ask if the business committee was able to get the CDs.
Oh, really?
From Alejandro's side.
Oh, no. You sent them.
Maybe I can email him and ask him.
You sent them the CDs, didn't you?
I did send them. I've never gotten any confirmation from other people if they've actually received it. I assume they just trashed them.
Right.
But just out of curiosity, did the business committee mention one or two of these things?
Right. Or were they coming in dancing?
I sent you a bunch of notes, guys, with the CD. I was doing this for you. I invested in Vegas singers to bring you these points, sir.
Right.
Do them justice.
Do them justice, man. Tweet them out. They were probably coming into your song singing. They were probably had it in while you're talking to them. They probably had it in their head. Schumer, where's my idol?
Well, I'm hoping I had a good perception because there was 3 people there, and they were like, "You don't need to explain who you are. Just get into it."
Really? Darn!
I
wanted to be there, dude. I tried. I tried
totally
getting in.
wanted you to be there too. I was hoping that you got it, but I guess it just didn't work out this time.
I was gonna be nice. I wasn't gonna record. I was gonna be friendly.
You know what we could do though? Maybe we can schedule another follow-up if other things come up in the SBA right now.
Let me know.
And we could maybe sit down with Alejandro again.
Let me know. I clicked on the link and it said Robert will let you in the meeting soon, or whatever. It had a thing saying you would let me in, and I was like, just in case. I was sitting there just in case you did. So.
Well, I was
but
like,
by that
when
time,
I sent that, it was like 5 minutes in, and I was just waiting for Alejandro to pop in. It was like 11:03, and I wasn't even looking at my phone.
Oh, was it like 11:03? Oh, your time. Okay. Because I think here, I forget what time you.
It was 2 o'clock your time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I got there at 1:43. I checked it out. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, man, let me know next time.
I will, but do know that we have open lines of communication now with Rosen's and Cardin's offices now.
That's cool. That's cool.
We got that going for us now.
Great. Let's send some hate mail right away.
I actually thought that was one of their concerns. Jacob actually had said that keep my email private so that way I don't have to go through hundreds of emails right now. Please.
Right?
That's what caused that follow-up, to let them know that I'm kind of disappointed that they have to go through all these reps in order to tell you directly, the leader of the Senate Business Committee, that if you just fix these problems, we could solve this for everybody and just be done with it.
Please bring.
We're tired of the excuses.
It really is that simple. I mean, but I think we're onto something. I think the class action.
I think if we can get the PR angle started, I mean, I don't want to hold you up too much. It was a nice chat. I got to get some lunch to some kids and a grandma who's watching them. But otherwise, it was a nice chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will dig more into this and let me know what you get.
I will.
And thank
As
you.
always.
Thanks everybody for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And Schumer, where's my idol?
Damn it. Where's my idol?
All right, have a good one, bro.
All right. You too. Take care.
You too. Bye.
One bad day in the month of March, I was wearing a suit, my collars were starched, customers missing, folks were hissing, I was feeling down, bills are piling up, till one day I heard the old tuba calling, new program, it was a launching, promised cash, really fast, still feeling down, bills are piling up.
It was a new Alaska, digital gold, a mystical 10K, EIDL. Schumer, where's my idol? It's been 1 year and many days ago.
Here comes Carranza Miss SBA with the deed book stacking, chance to get away. Hiding behind her team and the whole darn press. Went before Congress and kicked our ass. Left some marks, left some screams. We all lost out on a 3-day dream.
Schumer, remember those letters? It's been 1 year and many days ago.
Some drove their trucks, took to their tan. Some used their apps, suing full blast. But all of the letters stacked on her desk didn't bother Carranza, no heart in her chest. So out of the roost, folks came a-calling, Rosens, Cardins, Craigs, and Miss Velasquez. So tell me, Miss Carranza, why you holding up the D's? Why are these good folks yapping up to me? Carranza gave out a big old sigh, and fire flew out of her eyes.
We had no money, it was too much. We had no way to pay $10,000.
So she said it got away. So I still sing to this day. It's been 1 year and many days ago.
Carranza got away with their shady deal. The SBA's BS kept us a-dreaming. More meetings with the suits day by day. The media started to get their way. Carranza cooked up a terrible scheme.
Schumer, we're still waiting. We've called you 1,000,000 times ago.
Treasury Secretary quickly agreed, and a wink and a nod from the sitting chair. Carranza filled Congress full of hot air.
We'll call them frauds, they took too much. Then we won't have to pay $10,000.
And they flipped and bought it. People were in a riot. It was 1 year and many days ago.
How would it end? What what would they do? Claimants believed this motley crew. While Carranza slept, the numbers grew. Torpor chains, more claims, no swimming out of this stew. So Rosen and Cardin put out a paper. It said, Miss Carranza, we've heard enough. It's time to give them good folks their $10,000.
That was 1 year and many days ago.
It was too easy, can't you see? That 10K was now for someone else, not me. And even then, it could be 4 months later, calling up questions of spawn we never delivered.
So we are back here, and we are pleading, Mr. Schumer, please bring S513 up tonight.